Just ellipses. You remember some stuff from last Thursday? I know it's been a while.
Poorly drawn circles.
They look like poorly drawn circles. Let's take a look at that first one. Let's just talk about the equation that you see. Tell me anything that you remember from last Thursday that you see from that equation.
The center is -2, -3.
The center is where? The center is at -2, -3.
X is the right, so root of 9 will be the distance. The
The major axis, what now? The major axis is 10 long because what? What points? Yes. And how can you look at that equation and decide what the distance is from the center to the vertex? Which denominator? The bigger one. And I will do both. But the bigger one will give me the distance between the center and the vertex. So what's the distance between the center and the vertex? 5. Is that A, B, or C?
A.
That's A. We know A is 5. Do we know to count 5 from the center horizontally or vertically? Vertically, because the bigger denominator is under the Y. So we're going to count vertically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Isaiah said that means the major axis is 10 units long.
Steps ahead.
What else?
Minor axis is 3.
Minor axis is 3 units. So what's I'm sorry, the minor axis is, the semi-minor is 3 because the distance from the center to not a vertex, co-vertex is 3, so the minor axis is 6. Is that B or C? B. B is 3. So you've got
We can actually use your report draw simple functions.
what was the question? Graph it, identify and label the coordinates of the foci. Now, what do I know about the distance from the center to a focus? What's it called? C. C. What is the relationship between A, B, and C? It's not A squared plus B squared equals C squared in an ellipse. Because which one has to be the longest? The A is the longest. Remember, A is the distance between the center and a vertex, but it's also the distance between the center, between the focus and a co-vertex. Do you remember us doing that on Friday, Thursday?
Yep. We watched the thing about like central.
So, B squared plus C squared is A squared. What's C? Because 25 minus 9 is 16. Square root of 16 is 4. Where then are my foci? What's the matter, Braden? You're looking like...
Practicing, okay?
Where, how do I identify where my foci are? How are you getting it? Isaiah? Which way, up and down or left and right?
The major axis, right?
Your foci always lie on your major axis. So up 4 and down 4.
That worked out pretty well.
It did. It did. So let's identify those foci. Yeah, we're just going to name them. -2 and -3 plus 4 and -3 minus 4. Right? So that's going to give me -2, 1, and -2. That's terrible. And -2, -7. There are your foci. Right, is your memory jogged a little bit? Let's look at the next one. What do you know? Center is 1, 0.
It'll be
A is 3. Why is A equal to 3?
Wait, it's 4.
the major axis.
Is A 3 or is A 4?
I don't know.
It's okay. A is the longest one.
Oh, I thought it was Y.
No, doesn't have to be with Y.
Oh, so it's 4.
Uh-huh.
I agree with that.
It doesn't, listen, A does not always have to be under the Y. If the bigger number's under the Y, it just means long vertically. If the bigger number's under the X, it means it's long horizontally. So what's A? A is 4. What's B? Now, is this thing wide, or excuse me, long horizontally, or is it long vertically?
Horizontally.
Why is it long horizontally? Where is the 16? It's under the X. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
We have foci then?
Yeah, we'll do foci.
It's kind of what you're going.
Badly drawn circle, badly drawn circle. Okay, how do I find C, the distance from the center to a focus? B squared plus C squared equals A squared. So what have I got? 9 squared? Yeah. 9 plus square root of 7. Yep. So C is, it's plus or minus square root of 7, but since it's a distance, we're going to go positive. Now let's talk about that square root of 7. Let's see. Y'all said the center was at 1, 0. How do I figure out where the foci are?
It'll be along the major axis.
On the major axis. So what do I do with that square root of 7? Add it to the X and subtract it from the X. So your foci are where? And you can write it just like that. It's 1 plus the square root of 7, comma 0, and 1 minus the square root of 7, comma 0. Here we go. What do you think we get to do? Free it. All right, there's one. This is not right. I think I'll stand over here for a while. What do we do? How do we figure out how to graph that thing? I'm going to have to complete a square.
That's fair.
Now, hold it. How in the world am I going to complete a square? I will do all of those things. Here's what I need you to remember. What needs to be right now in front of the x and x squared and y squared? 1. 1. And on the equation of an ellipse, what does the equation have to equal? That's what we've got to force, and then we'll complete a square. You say, well, snap, I don't know how to do that. Got any ideas?
Separate.
Google?
How about this? I will do that, but I got work to do first. Well, you guys were saying group the x's. I'm totally happy to. Where'd that come from? Equals what? Hmm.
Oh, this part divided by.
Yeah. Now, remember that all you can do to complete a square, the x squared has to have a coefficient of, and the y squared has to have a coefficient of. So, questions? What number goes right there? But if I add something to one side of a teeter-totter, now, what did I add to the left side? I added 16 because notice this really added 16. So if we add 16 to one side, we're going to add 16 to the other side. They're not going to get tougher than this one, all right? I promise. I mean, in terms of just solving an ellipse, yeah. Plus 4. Good. Because that comes from right here. All right. What have we got? 4 times. Good. X plus 2 quantity squared. Plus 9 times. Good. Y minus 2 quantity squared equals 36.
So they have to divide both sides by
36.
We've got to make this thing equal. We've got to make it equal 1. So what are we going to divide by? 36. We're going to divide by 36. So we've got x plus 2 quantity squared over 9 plus y minus 2 quantity squared over 4 equals, there we go. There we go.
Magical.
There we go. Can you graph it?
I can try.
Heck yeah, you can graph it.
Oh, it's
What's your center? Good, your center's negative 2, 2. What else do we know? A is 3. What's B?
Never even noticed.
I did neither. It's too many flags.
B is 2. Which way is this long? Is it long horizontally or is it long vertically? This is long horizontally because the bigger number is under the X. So long horizontally. So draw 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3,
And then 2.
and then 2. That's not too far from a circle.
Now it's like football.
How do we find our vertices, our foci? There you go, b squared plus c squared equals a squared. So 4
That was a door.
plus c squared equals 9.
That was 100% the door. I saw the thing too.
Let's finish this up. What's c? So what are the coordinates of the foci? Now I'm going to write, this was the center, negative 2, 2. That's right. Negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 5, comma 2. Those are the foci. You're doing real well. Questions so far? No? Now we're going backwards. Going backwards. It might help you to have graph paper here. I'm going to tell you what I do with these. I always draw myself a little picture, and it helps. So I'm going to give you a piece of graph paper. If you want to use it, fine. If you don't want to use it, that's fine too. Here we go. The vertices of the ellipse are 2, 0 and negative 2, 0. Let's stop right there. What do we know? The center's at the origin. Good. Good. So we know we've got an x squared plus y squared.
Minor axis is 2 squared.
The length of the, well, now hang on. Let's talk, is there anything else we know just from the fact that the vertices are here and here? We know, why? Braden, what'd you say? Good. Are you okay that the bigger number is going to be under X? Now, what is the bigger number? What's the distance between the center and a vertex? 2. So what's under the X? That's squared. Are you comfortable?
Sorry. Take the line from there. Try to be comfortable.
The length of the minor axis is 2.
So the total length?
Total length. What's 1? What's the minor axis? What's the minor axis?
The short one.
Between where and where?
Between the vertex and the center.
No.
Covert.
Between a covert. So the minor axis is between the 2 covertices. So half the minor axis is between the center and a covertex. So the length of the minor axis is 2. So that's the distance between, the length of the minor axis is 2. That's the length between the covertices. So what's the distance between the center and a covertex? 1. So what's B? 1. So what goes under y squared? Because 1 squared is 1. Okay. Do you need to put that? You don't have to, but you can. You could write x squared over 4 plus y squared equals 1. Or if it helps you to remember that this is an ellipse, you could put it over 1. Let's look at the next one. Wait, let me see. Is Sparks wanting you to write the... No. Okay. I didn't know if he wanted it like multiplied out, but the answer is no, so good. Was there something falling from the sky? Is it flurrying? All right, let's try it. The center is at 2, 3. A vertex is at 2, 7, and the coordinates of a focus are 2, 6. I would plot those, and I would put C beside the center, F beside a focus, and V beside a vertex. That's a vertex and focus. Now that should give you enough information to write the equation of that ellipse. Let's talk about the numerators. What are your numerators going to be? X minus 2 quantity squared over something plus does the bigger number go under the X or the Y? How come?
Go on.
Just I was gonna say what if it's like because we don't have the other one, but then I realized that would
Right. Okay. So what? Do we know any of B or C or A?
Yes.
What?
is
How do you know A is 4?
because if you count from the vertex to the center,
Good. The distance from the center to the vertex is 4, so that's A.
Now we just have to find out later.
Well, what else? Do we know something else? I know C because what is the definition of C? What's the definition of C? The distance from the center to a focus. So what's C? C is 3. Whoops, B squared plus C squared equals A squared. So what have we got? B squared plus 9 equals 16. What's B? B is the square root of 7.
Small break.
What goes under X? All right. Does the bigger number go under X or Y? Y. Because the vertices are vertical from each other. Okay. Now, so what goes under those? Is it A and B or A squared and B squared? It's A squared and B squared, right? So, what goes under X? 7. What goes under Y? 16. There's your equation. There's your equation. 2 more. Okay, let's do this one. I'm hungry too, but we got work to do. Okay, we good to go? Plot what you got. CV is my co-vertex. You probably figured that out. So what? Where's the center? The center is the midpoint of the horizontal, the midpoint of the major axis, and the midpoint of the minor axis. So what's the midpoint horizontally? -2, because -6 plus 2 is -4, and half of that's -2. What's the midpoint vertically? Did I plot? Well, snap, I plotted that wrong. I plotted -2, -1. And it's not -2, -1. Why didn't anybody catch that?
We were being nice.
You were being nice. Yeah, well,
We thought you were making like an intentional mistake.
no, how about I screwed up? So, boy, that's terrible.
I love it.
Well, there you go, a pistachio.
I love it.
So, what's the center now? Yeah, okay, I'll buy that. -2, 3. What do your numerators look like then? Well, numerators.
X plus 2, X plus 1.
X. It's all right. X plus 2.
Something equal 1.
Plus 1. Does the bigger number go under X or Y? X. So what's the bigger number going to be? Because what's A? Mm-hmm. A is the distance between the center and a vertex. That's 4. What goes under the Y's? 4, because B is 2. One more. What makes it seem like it's hard? Yeah. All right, guys, one more. One more. Yeah, let's just for fun. Just for fun.
It's just 1. You can get through it. We just went through like 7.
That's right. No.
Do you have an Uno card?
All right, here we go. The center is at 4, -3. What quadrant is that in? That's down here, isn't it?
Second one.
That's the center. That's the 4th quadrant. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we got the center. One -3 is a vertex. Let's stop right there. Let's not plot the focus yet. Can I draw or write part of the equation right now?
Yes.
What part? The top. Okay. What's the top part?
It's 4 plus 3. Hey, what about mine? Put mine first. Equal 1. You could.
Say again.
You could fi-
Can I do what?
you could find the other vertex.
Yeah.
Because it has to be equidistant.
I could find the other vertex. Do I need to?
There you go.
No, but couldn't you put the denominator what if she dies?
Yeah. Because what's the distance between the center and the vertex called? A. Did you just have an aha moment?
I'm so stupid. I was trying to do the focus.
Oh.
I couldn't get it.
Oh. So A is 3. So what goes under X? 9. Now, you're right. A squared or B squared plus C squared equals A squared. Look at this. Why? This is one of the foci. That's one of them.
X plus square root of 2 negative 3.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted us to work this one.
That's only just like one foci.
That's one of them.
How does it stay on the same line as
It is negative. It is on the same line as negative 3.
It is. Okay, look. Here's, that's not terrible. That's the major axis, right? And the foci are on the major axis. And the foci are between the vertex and the center. Why are you confused?
Because I thought that it had to be like one below the vertex.
Yeah.
So like when I kept doing it, that's why it's so
Gotcha. So your vertex, or your focus is in here somewhere, right? Now look at what the focus is. 4 minus root, what the devil is that? I don't even know.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's an attempt. What's C?
What's
Square root of 2. Why is C the square root of 2?
because that's what you subtract.
Because that's what we subtracted from the 4.
smart?
That's what we subtracted from the 4.
So C.
C is the square root of 2, right? So we know C is the square root of 2. You told me A was 3. Let's finish her up. What's the equation? So B squared plus what's B? Good. B is the square root of 7. What goes under the Y? B squared, right. There's your equation. All right. You've learned everything there is to learn about an ellipse. Well, almost. Everything that you care about at this point, you've learned everything you need to know.